creativity. So to get this creativity going, we are going to be, or I will be, engaging in a dialogue with the fabulous Del Weston. And we tried doing this last night. And because I am still learning this whole process, I forgot to hit record. So we had this incredible conversation and this amazing dialogue, and I can't share it with you. So he was gracious enough to agree to do it with me again. So I get to have a take two with Del. So he will be on any minute. So I'm just going to hang out and wait. And so the show is called So Zoom In, and I hope to have regular people engage with me and talk about all the fabulous things they're doing. The arts are so live, and the arts just can mean everything. Once you get into that creative flow, it can help people and inspire people and just really create amazing things for so many people. And one of the great things about Del is he definitely inspires people, and he sets up pretty much his life to be in situations where he does inspire people. Anyway, so we're going to just be on hold, and he should be joining me any minute. Ah, there he is. Del, my darling. Okay, you're upside down again.
I'm upside down. You're upside down. Come on.
Del Weston, yes. Guess what? I'm recording right now. I was just saying that we had this incredible conversation last night, and you were so amazing, and I realized I did not record it. So I am so grateful that you agreed to speak with me today. So thank you.
Okay, hang on. Let me try this. What does it say? Leave, safe driving mode. What has it done? Your video has stopped.
Oh, you stopped? Huh.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Why is it not working? Hang on, I'm going to leave and come back in. Hold on.
I like that. You're right there. Can you see me?
I can't see you.
Oh, that's not good.
Wait. Oh, there you are.
Okay. Okay. You look good.
I feel good.
Well, you are good, man. I was just saying what a great guy you are.
Oh,
you know,
please.
it's like you really are. And so thank you for doing a redo with me. This is like take two.
If you can stand it, I can do it.
Well, honey, I can stand it and enjoy it.
I heard that. Okay,
So,
let's try that. Okay.
All right, so how's it going? You're in Las
Vegas. Good. There it goes. Yeah, there it goes. Good.
How's your day today?
This was the best day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what happened today?
Something happened yesterday. I'm not sure what it was, but something. It was just a magnificent day.
Yeah.
The energy was right. Everything was fine. Everybody was happy and okay. I can't say anything other than wow, it was great. Let me try this. Let me see something.
Well, today is 4/4, which is supposed to be the day of the masculine. And you, my dear, are the most masculine man I know. So there you go. So today is your day.
I feel like it's my day.
Oh, good. Good.
How about you? How's your day going? What's going on with you?
I'm trying to figure out how to keep this Zoom thing going because I want to.
Why would you stop?
I'm just starting. I am just starting.
You got to move it. Yeah, don't let anybody get in your way. You have to do something that's good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this technology
and good for other people. What's wrong with that?
Well, you got to help it if it will. What you're doing is amazing. And what we talked about yesterday, we talked about you, and I just want people to know how awesome you are. And
stop it.
You are. I mean, you've done so much.
Like my second ex-wife used to say about me.
Yeah. Well, okay, you know what? Marriages are all learning experiences.
Not the way I do it. Not the way I do it.
Oh, it's not a learning experience.
I'm in and out like a commando, man.
Hey, but you've been married to Teresa now for how long? You guys?
27. We've been together 27 years.
Okay.
We were together for 7 years. We lived with each other for 7 years before we got married.
Okay. All right. So
I don't see any stop to that soon. Trust me. Good. I don't know how she stands it, but she does. It's a grave error in her judgment, I guess.
You have a strong relationship. You have that solid foundation.
Yeah, that's true. I can honestly say that hard times do tend to bring people together or separate them permanently, and it's only brought us together. So
Right. Well, okay. So all these people are like home because they have to be. These a
mhm.
lot of married couples. Would you have any advice for them?
I don't really give advice because everyone's different. I can only
Right.
say from my experiences, it's
Mm-hmm.
a. I was telling my children this, yeah, because they're young, they're 12 and 13,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, you have to find the people who are willing to fight to be in your life. If you have any relationships where someone is not fighting to be in your life, it's probably a wrong relationship. And they don't understand that. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. You've got aunts on both sides. Which
Right.
aunts fight to be in your life? Which ones call you on a regular basis? Which ones email you? Which ones text you? Which ones wonder how you are in school and if your life is okay? Those are the ones you want to keep around you. The others, let them go.
Um,
Because family is the same as friendships. The only difference is you don't get to choose your family. And I
true.
believe that if someone is really not trying to be in your life, they
Yeah.
probably don't belong in your life.
And
And
that's okay,
that's
right?
all. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine too. But you really get a sense with the people who we're close with. And I have a lot of friends who are closer than anyone in my family would ever be. And that's a sad statement in my original family.
Yeah.
But those people seek me out. I've been getting emails, people I never would think, Dylan, are you okay? We're worried about you. How's your family? Is everything going all right? And we're good, but I'm just concerned about you. And that's
Nice.
a really wonderful place to be in life, where you know that someone doesn't want anything except other than know that you're okay. What a brilliant, brilliant thing.
Oh, that's
Wow.
nice.
It's
Well, I'm
pretty
sure there
it's
are
pretty
people you do
strong.
that to too, right? I mean, there are lots of people you reach out to because you
I
just did
do
that.
until they get the restraining orders. Then I stop. That's the true story.
Oh, really? All right. I just use this like huge heart, so I have a hard time imagining anyone putting a restraining order on you.
There
You
have been a
know.
few. I
Yeah.
deserved them. I'm not gonna lie.
All
The
right.
guy from the cat store, he really didn't want to hear from me anymore. And then there was I should mention her, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Okay.
Uh, it's hard to say it because it hurts me so much that someone who I
Mhm.
knew so little about would be so tired of me so fast. And I thought to myself, I bumped into her on the street, and then like I felt an instant connection, but she was 97 and I was only 22, and she'd had enough of me by the time I was 22 and a half. So what can you
Was
do?
she like a grandmother type or a neighbor? Or?
Just a homeless lady who needed some change.
Oh,
See, I'm
okay.
joking.
Like you had me going there. Like, how nice. Okay, all right. Well, there was an artist who lived in Palm Springs, Beatrice Wood. She was 97, and she would have all these hot young boys that running around her place topless.
You
So I'm
know, we
like,
didn't talk about yesterday
yeah,
Maud and Taylor.
Maud and Taylor.
I did a coffee table book for a client named Kathy Childs. And Kathy Childs
Oh,
is one of the nicest people I ever met in my life, just a wonderful woman. And she hired me to produce a coffee table book called Blue Watanabe, Master of Stone and Light.
ooh.
And this is back, got to be 12, 15 years ago when I did this book. And I had to go to the most exclusive homes all around Bel Air and Beverly Hills and Laguna,
Mhm.
and chronicled the works of this artist named Lou Watanabe, who built weeping walls, stone monuments, gardens, and these magnificent koi ponds. So I'm in Sierra Madre one day, and there's a beautiful little weeping stone monument, and it's just built out of stones, water elements, and then the limited tree, like Japanese maples and these beautiful types of cherry blossom trees. And so I'm taking my pictures, and I look because I feel there's something watching me, and I look to my left, and there's an older woman peeking her head out of her house and staring at me. Now, I'd already gone to the door and introduced myself to the husband, said, "Hi, I'm Dell. I'll be here to take some pictures. We've already scheduled." He said, "Yes, have a great time going out." I said, "Thank you," because I did a lot of the photography myself.
Mhm.
And I'm there for about an hour or two, and this woman is just staring at me. I said, "Listen, I'm not here to rob your house." I couldn't figure out why she was staring so, but that was okay. Well, we got the pictures back. I wasn't happy. They were great pictures, but it wasn't good enough as far as I was concerned. So I called and said, may I come back and retake some of these photos about a week later? And they said, yes, of course. So his name was Jack Taylor. He was a JPL scientist. And so I went back to the house and I'm taking my pictures and I hear the front door open because the monument was right off to the right of the front door. And this tall, thin, striking 80-year-old woman came out, 82, I think. Beautiful head of gold, white hair, beautiful stark white hair. And very thin, but very tall. And she said, hello. And I said, hi, how are you? And she approached me and I said, I'm Del West, it's nice to meet you. And she said, nice to meet you, And she said, you are fascinating. I said, I'm fascinating. You're the one 80 walking around talking. That's pretty fascinating to me. My goodness. And she said, I want to talk to you. I said, about what? She says, well, I'm a Jungian psychologist and I'm a dream interpreter. Ooh. And I said, well, that's interesting. I'm Del Weston and I'm leaving. And I took off. Well, she called me a few times. Would you please come by? I'd like to speak with you. And my thing was I didn't believe in therapy or psychology or the need for therapists. And of course there was a need for it, but I just didn't feel a need for myself. Mm-hmm. So my wife finally one day said, let me get this straight. Someone wants to talk to you about you and you're saying no. I said, I'm not a butterfly you pin down, mm-hmm. in my arrogance and ego. And the woman called one more time and I said, listen, I'll come by and say hi. So I go by, and it was funny because she only lived 2 blocks from me, maybe less. And I walk over, and she comes to the door, and she says, well, come on through. And she leads me through the house to the back of the house. And if you can imagine, it was a 1-story house, but from her room in the living room, it was a big sliding glass door. And you could see that she created for herself this painting of a backyard, beautiful green lawn, encased by a nice large fence on all 3 sides, and then an orange tree right in the middle where to the back of this middle fence met, and then a little art walkway that you had to go through under the tree. So she would sit there and look at this tree every day, and I never understood until the end of her life, and then and I'll tell you what that was. So we go in the backyard through the back fence, and there's 2 beautiful 2-story buildings that you couldn't even see from the street. It was magnificent. On the left was her husband's music studio full of a piano, recording equipment, and all these things. He was a great musician. And then to the right, her office. And in her office, there was 2 sides to it. If you look through the window, you can see like a bunch of toys for children and these sand boxes, all these custom things, and all these toys, but not like you would know toys. They were like primitive toys from different countries, no metal, just all wood, painted, sculpted, sanded. And I said, well, this is kind of strange because now I'm getting nervous, So she opens her office door and we walk in and we spend about 90 minutes talking. And I have very vivid dreams, but I had never, written them down. And she said, do you dream? I said, of course I dream. She goes, you dream in color? I said, yes, I dream in color. She goes, do you ever fly? I said, yes. And she'd asked me about some of my dreams. And so I told her about the dreams. And she said, well, I'll see you next week. And so I went back and she explained the first dream that I had told her about from a psychological standpoint. And she told me that she'd never in her life met anyone like me that had my appearance and my history or my knowledge and experiences. And I said, well, that's nice. I don't know anybody like you, so you're special. I'm a regular guy. Well, those meetings lasted 11 and a half years, every Thursday. And I would go there. And through that time, she treated me like a mother. All the kindness and the love and the doting. And this is my friend. And we went to plays together. We went to lunches. It was just wonderful to have her in my life. But she had breast cancer and she survived it. Then she got it again during our friendship. And she survived that. And then she got it again, I believe, when she was like 11 years later. Oh. And that was the end of everything. And so she invited me over to be there as much as I could while she was going through the process of dying. Wow. And I would go over and, laugh and joke with the nurses, but I was really checking to make sure they were treating her well and taking care of her. Right. And I was shocked at how little of her own family came to be around her. And it was heartbreaking to see. But there's an African artist named Jibril Ndouye, Jibril Ndouye, beautiful artist from Senegal. And he lived on the corner from me. And so it turns out that I would go over sometimes and he would be doing drumming classes, and she couldn't dance anymore, but she loved to move.
Oh, nice.
And she was amazing, an amazing person. She died shortly after that. And it was like a large piece of my life was gone. And it was tough, but to know someone like that who was only interested in you and your hopes and your dreams. And the funny thing was, she lived a very protected life. She'd come from money. And of course, her husband was the ultimate in love. This guy was amazing. I mean, he just loved her. He died long before she did. And so she had to transfer from being this wife and mother who was more into her work because that was her calling. But she was in her 80s. What are you going to expect? I mean, she's not going to walk around changing diapers at that point.
Right.
But it was a wonderful experience of love. And I fought to be in her life and she fought to be in my life. And those are the types of people I'm talking about, who literally are so close to you that the love is undeniable. And I try to tell my kids, and if people take it as advice, great. I would just say, find the people who really fight to be in your life, who really look for you and reach for you and need you, not in a I need $5 sense, but in a with you I feel more complete than if you were not here. And I got that from her, and it was one of the most loving relationships of my life so far.
Did she
Really
ever
great.
tell you? Did she ever tell you what it was that she felt that connection in you when she first saw
Well,
you?
I asked her, because I would quiz her too, because she was kind of an anomaly to me. Because she had a life where, I think her family owned water rights in California. They'd been robbed of the rights, but they still had means. And then Jack, of course, was kind of outstanding when it came to earning. I mean, he was a really smart guy. And so she didn't have to worry about that. But in my life, I've had to. And I asked her one time, what's the worst thing that happened to you? And she said, back in 1937, when I was in college, and I said, yes, they were co-ed colleges for the first time back there for people like her. And there was a man who would every day steal her newspaper. And she said one day she got up the nerve to confront him and said, please stop taking my newspaper. And he called her a silly bitch and slammed the door and continued to steal her newspaper. And she said, that's the worst thing I think that's ever happened to me. And I understood what it meant. It was the loss of humanity, the loss of kindness, the loss of dignity, just through that small act of someone saying, you don't even rate enough for me not to take the smallest thing from you. And that's a hard lesson. We all have to learn it at one point or another if we're going to do business. But that was a tough thing for her. And in understanding that, I kind of understood a different life that is possible. Maybe not for me, but maybe for my daughter, maybe for my son. And I want them to have the ability to answer that call, maybe not with violence, maybe not with anger, but with a solution that fits them. And that's, what we're all going through. We're all trying to find solutions for what faces us every day. And some of us are good at it, and some of us are not good at it. And you see that behavior in everyday life.
Exactly. So do you think your kids will end up being in the business, following dad's footsteps?
I hope not. I hope that I build enough business for them that they can choose whatever their particular talents are necessary for. My son is very literal and an excellent writer. In fact, he has a story coming out in next week's MegaFest magazine. He didn't intend for it to come out, but they're both have been homeschooled most of their lives, and so they have particular attention when it comes to instruction. They've got very good teachers, and they're both in very, very high rankings nationally, academically. And I did a lot of this, one, because I liked it, but two, because I found that you could make money at it, and you didn't have to break your back, because I've had some horrible back-breaking jobs in my life. I mean, really hard work. And I'm hoping that they can avoid that, and that they can do work that serves others while it serves them as well, not just to, meet a monthly nut.
Well, but that's what you do. You serve others by creating something like AOF, the Mega Fest, these film festivals you put together. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
but that's
yeah,
that's a thing that I do for love. It's not,
right.
I could stop that today if people didn't appreciate it anymore, they didn't need it. That didn't matter to me. I mean, that's just the thing that I do. I love it, but I have a
Okay.
different goal for my life. But yeah,
Uh,
I've created a lot of things where other people have been served, and I'm very proud to say that I did, because that's part of the reason I think we're here, is to serve others.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
if you do it right,
Right.
you have a good experience. If you don't, you end up like Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, that's so gross. All right.
It's the
So,
truth. I mean, look at the
right.
guy.
Okay.
How he
So,
can't be in good. I don't care
yeah.
what.
All right. So I have
I don't care
this.
how much money he has. He's suffering, and he should suffer.
I have this Facebook friend who lives in Europe, and she was like, "You're in Hollywood. You're in the business. Ew." It's like she's like think it's like the underground beastie belly where it's gonna like suck the soul from everyone. I'm like, no, I'm not in that.
She's in Europe.
She's in Europe, but they have
I
this
got a business
concept.
partner that tells me that every single day.
But
Because how do you stand it? My God, these are the worst people in the world. I'm like, okay, well.
But you have a select few that just kind of like ruins it for everybody, because
I don't think it can be ruined. This is such a great process that any time that you can get a lot for a little, right? That is a great process. And I think that people can come to this business and they can get lucky. I know a lot of people who have zero talent who are very famous. God bless them. And then I know some people who are super talented who deserve 1,000 times more than they have, even if they're in the millionaire landscape. Because I think the formula is you are compensated by the number of people you please and the difficulty of the problems you solve. And so there's something to say for a business where you can earn 10, 15, 20,000 a week on a reality show, and hundreds of thousands a week like castmates of Friends and some of those other shows that are on the air right now. They're making big money.
right.
But it's funny to me how they always say it's never enough. I never made enough. Or they'll come back later and compare themselves to salaries that are happening currently when they were at their heyday. And the comment is, well, I could have made more. And I don't understand that. I mean, I don't get it. There's a level of gratitude in everything, but this business seems to be short on that. What can you do?
But you seem to be doing something that's from your heart, and
yeah, absolutely,
and that's, I think, if you're going to be in the arts, you have to have that passion for it. Well, of course, struggling is not easy for anyone, but just what you're doing, though, it offers so many opportunities for so many people just to come together and be in a creative element.
Thing. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and a very, very amazing thing to watch, because a lot of it has developed independent of me. And that's where we get AOF MegaFest. It's other people who had dreams to create their own places and spaces and forums and stages. And a lot of those people, Laurel Adler, Alex Guarino, Annabelle Monroe, DJ B. Stu, my wonderful friend Lorraine, who's heading up a new thing we're doing called the Great Las Vegas Chinese Film Awards.
Ooh,
all Chinese are not guilty and complicit in this. And I see these horrible posts where people are spraying them with Lysol or attacking them in the streets. There's no room for that. There's really no room for that. If you are so powerless that you can't get to Xi Jinping, but you'll settle for Joe Lee down the street, you got a problem. That's a mentality that I don't understand, and I never want to understand. The hate is just another place for people who couldn't make it, who couldn't compete.
Right. Well, hate is a 4-letter word, So, but okay, well, great. So you have a new film festival going on. That's awesome. Yep. And so, okay, we're looking at July, end of July.
Yeah, we're looking at July 23rd through August 2nd in Las Vegas. It's called the AOF Mega Fest. And some of the sub-festivals involved in that are the Action on Film Festival, Hollywood Dreams, News Fest, Annabelle Monroe's Most Important Films, DJ B. Stu's New Cinema Festival, and X World by Alex Guarino. All these shows come together along with events like the Next Martial Arts Star, as well as the Legendary Stunt Awards, which is now in its 5th year, and the Icon Awards, which is now in its 6th year. We've got a history of putting these things together and doing them, and they seem to be working out okay. So I'm very happy with them. We also have the Young Storyteller Awards with Harold Brown, and he's done a magnificent job of building this so that kids, I think it's under 16, don't pay any submission fees at all. They're automatically accepted, and they go into competition for awards and cash, and he's been very good at that. And we have a new element to the AOF MegaFest called No Risk Fee Fest. No Risk Fee Fest.
I like
and the
that
way
title.
that works, I'm sorry, what?
That's a great title. You know,
it is a great,
right.
that came to me, and I was wondering, I had been threatened to be deplatformed by Film Freeway. They were being a little bullyish, and they said, we got bad reports about you. I said, listen,
What?
yeah, well, they probably did, because in my position, you have to make choices on who you're going to work with and why. And I've got a lot of people who don't want to see this succeed because it changes the model. And No Risk Fee Fest came as this guy said, well, we're going to deplatform you. I said, well, deplatform me. I don't really care. People have this impression that I am beholden to their business model. And I've heard it before. I've seen it before. I've done a lot of movies and TV, and there's always these threats. And
Right.
I find it refreshing because it forces you to look at yourself and say, well, why am I different? How can I be better? And No Risk is a different in festivals, because once you submit to No Risk, our festivals fight for your submission. And what that means is you don't pay when you submit like other festivals. You send a link to your work, your script, your documentary, your film, your short, your music video, your story, your song, your artwork. We have to see it first. And once we see that we can put it in competition with one of our festivals, then we allow you to pay your submission fee, but not until then. And what most festivals do is they showcase very few filmmakers and writers, but they take a multiple of that in submissions that are never going to be shown. So they base their festivals on the submission fees.
Right.
And what has occurred now is really interesting to me, because with this COVID-19, you've probably seen about 1,000 festivals that I know of that have all canceled for the season. Now, they didn't say, hey, we'll go online. They didn't say, hey, we'll refund your fees or we'll credit you for next season. They said, it's over, we're done. Because this is the greatest thing that ever happened to them, because now they don't have to fork over any money for theaters, events, rooms for seminars, nothing. And they get to keep the submission fees. And I think it's disgusting. So what we said was change the model, create a number of festivals that meet every genre and work with people from every genre. It's not just us. There's now about 15 to 20 people who are involved in decision-making on all these events. So it's not Del Weston saying you're accepted. It's any one of these 15 people who are involved in judges or as festival directors who decide they want your work.
So how do you submit to one of these? How does a filmmaker?
You just go to No Risk. You just go to noriskfeefest.com, noriskfeefest.com, and you send us a link to say, hi, here's my movie or my short or my documentary or my song or my music video or my written word or my script or my poem or my prose or my artwork. We look at the link, and if we can work with you either by showcasing you at the show or putting you in the competition if you're a written word or artistic genre, like photography or artwork or poster art. And then we say, once we've seen it, if we can accept it, hey, you can submit now. The work will absolutely be a part of our show. And yes, we're gonna lose a lot of submission fees, but we're gonna work with people who are reaching to us as we are reaching to them. And as I said, it's in everything I do. Work with the people who fight to be a part of your life. Don't go. How many rejection letters has your audience received from festivals over the last 2 decades?
Right, exactly.
How many wasted fees? And I want to put a stop to that. So threats don't bother me. I've been threatened before. Violence is not an issue. Who cares? You know, do what you're going to do. I had a guy one time tell me, I'm going to take you to court and make you miserable. I'm going to ruin your life. I said, okay, well, let's get that started, because all you're doing now is wasting time. So I get a call from a guy who I knew who was an attorney. He says, Del, we're going to be suing you. I said, well, have a nice day. You know, he goes, no, come on, let's fix this. I said, yeah, let's fix it. Tell your client to be reasonable. He says, well, they're not going to be reasonable. They want to see you suffer. I said, then serve me the papers and let's go. So we end up in court, and I go one day without an attorney. And the judge says, Mr. Weston, where's your attorney? I said, I'm my attorney now. He said, what? I said, guys, you got all the money already. You already got it. Now it's my turn. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come to court and ask every question I can. I'm going to delay this process because I'm ignorant to the instructions of how a court works. I'm not a lawyer. And we're really going to see who wants to pay money to jerk my chain. The case was settled 3 hours later. instead of getting $1 million as they asked for, they settled out for $800.
Wow.
And the funny thing was, one of the lawyers said, well, you'll come on our side. I said, I'm not on anybody. I'm on my side now because I see how you operate. And I wouldn't testify against anyone else I said, because there was like 8 people involved. And I said, no, I'm done.
Good.
And they settled their portion, I heard, 1.5 years later, which I thought was funny because I was out for $800. But the thing was, once you realize your power and once you realize that everyone has setbacks, everyone suffers, everyone is going to have problems. If you're in business, you're going to have a lawsuit. It's just life.
Right.
Get used to it and get over it. And so my thinking for filmmakers and writers and artists is cling to the people who cling to you first, that stick with you, who put you in premium theaters, who hold huge award shows, who put you in touch with celebrities and stars and producers and money. I can't tell you how much money's been raised at the AOF MegaFest for independent producers to produce films and shows with. Because I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, usually every year, to produce stuff. And if people understood that I'm not as liked as people think, right?
Who cares,
and
right?
no, it's okay. I'm good
Right?
with it because it's fine with me. I don't want everybody liking me anyway. Because if I got everybody liking me, I got a problem because now I got to serve everybody in the world. I'll keep it like a fine wine. That year was good. That year was good. That year was good. The rest, God bless you. But you have to really understand, no one can really ruin your life except for you. No one can deny you success except for you. And I don't care what your background is, what your level of education is. This is on you. This is your life. You have to make the decisions.
I love that.
Boy, this got dark fast. Last night was so light and air and funny and wow.
But that's so inspirational. People need to hear that, especially right now.
I mean, they're from me.
But okay, all right. So let's get back to the festivals. How would a filmmaker or a screenwriter or an artist submit to AOF or
don't even submit. All you need to do is go to No Risk Fee Fest, NORISKFEE Fest, FEST, No Risk Fee Fest.
Okay.
And send us a letter that says, hey, here's my work. Would you look at it for the 2020 season?
Oh, and that
we will read the script or watch the movie or the short or we'll listen to the song and the lyrics. And if we believe that we can work with you in the 2020 season and any season after this as well, then we will tell you, yes, your film has been accepted by the AOF MegaFest festivals. At least one of them wants your work, and we will put you in competition or screening. And that way they're assured that they're going to have a place to showcase their work without wasting submission fees. Because most of the time it's a crapshoot.
Right.
5,000 people submit, and there's 75 films that show, and people are proud of that.
Right.
And the ones that get in, I always hear people say, well, how many films were submitted this year? And I go, it's none of your business. How about this? How about I reject your film right now? You happy? Well, no. Then don't question my process. I didn't ask you how you raised the money or why you shot what you shot and what was your process. I have a process here, and that's to assist as many writers and filmmakers with getting to the next level as possible. And we've been doing that for 16 years, and it seems to be successful.
So an applicant could have the potential of being in more than one festival.
Well, if they get accepted to No Risk Fee Fest,
they
can enter. They have the right now to submit to any other show, and that show is going to accept them. Okay. Just pay your fee, but don't pay it before you know you're in. Wait until you know you're in, and then if you want to be in 3 festivals, you're going to have to pay 3 times because it's 3 separate festivals. But you know where you're going to be, and you increase your chances across the board of screenings, nominations, awards, and at least getting here and meeting people. It's
exactly
it's a funny
that's
thing.
Valuable. Yeah.
We run a 12-day show. This is not a 3-day or a 2-day or a day and a half BS show. We run a 12-day show, and in those 12 days, you have access to over 40 seminars, multiple award shows. And award shows are a separate fee, but everything else is included. All your screenings, all your seminars, all your parties, your Sunday brunches. We do full-on, full-color programs. And many of the people who appear in our festivals every year also appear in the AOF magazine, the AOF MegaFest magazine. And if you go to our website at actiononfilmfest.com, you can access last month's issue. And the next issue comes out this Thursday, right before Easter. And you'll be able to see some really great work for some really great people. Wow.
Now, do you yourself write for it also? Or?
Oh, yeah. I produce the magazine. Teresa is my editor. And I produce it, and then we have a number of people who are on staff writers, such as Matt DeGennaro and Harold Brown, who's fantastic. And then we do a couple of sections where people who are in the festival are profiled every single month. At least 10 filmmakers and writers are profiled in every edition. And you don't pay for that. That's something that we seek out to know about your stories. And then, of course, we have brilliant cover stories. This last month, we had Saye Yabande. The month before that, we had Robert Goldman, philanthropist, billionaire. And before that, we had a model and actress from The Pride. I hate saying her name because her name's so difficult, and I hate mangling it. And I apologize, young lady. I'm not even going to try to say it. It's horrible, but you can see it. And we try and put people on the cover who are relevant to the industry and relevant to films and television. In fact, this month's cover story is on a man named Aaron Seals. And Aaron created the New York casting agencies that you see online, and he's done them all across the country. Fascinating guy, and someone you may not meet if you didn't know about the magazine. So I think this is one of the first stories that have ever been written solely about him in a publication.
Well, that's great. That's a great bonus for all of us and to learn about him.
I want to do a story about you and your artwork because I love your art. And I love what you have behind your head.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful work. Really great work.
Well, I started off in painting.
Did you?
I did. I self-taught painter, and I got so into it. I like you, I just started doing. And next thing I knew, I had my own gallery and I was representing artists.
Wow.
And then boom, things shifted with the economy. And I thought, I'll give acting a shot.
Yeah, everybody can't be Mark Costabi. You can't make it for $8 an hour and sell it for $1 million. That's a funny thing.
But,
Banksy for that matter. He's a strange one.
But one of the other people I interviewed, Matt Gleason, he's an art critic and curator and gallerist, and he's very much in the art world. And
gallerist. Did you say gallerist?
Yes, gallerist.
Beautiful word.
But it's also connected, which I love. When you're in the arts, the arts are, film, filmmaking. That's such a beautiful art, and I don't think people appreciate the art form of it. And I'm not talking like art films. I'm talking about the whole process of, as the writer, the concept, to the script, and how many people are involved in doing it, just in the very beginning. And then, the filming part that's the fun process itself, but the post-production, like the deliverables, oh my God, if you're not working with the right people who know what they're doing, you're totally screwed.
You're ruined.
Right?
Yeah, you're ruined.
And so it's such a collaborative effort where you need that trust in those relationships, and what you provide the opportunities to build those relationships.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's funny, we released a film last week on Amazon Prime called Behind the Gate with Joe Pesci. And the film was shot years ago, but the standards that we shot it at allowed us to up-res it and to prep it for delivery now in a digital platform and in a sales platform. But, the DVD business has slowly begun to wane. But, most people don't even understand what deliverables are. And I had a guy contact me on Facebook and said, hey, did you have trouble out of this group you distributed through? I said, what are you talking about? I have trouble. And if I did, why would I tell anyone? That's personal business between me and someone else. But he reached out from the wilderness of the internet, and he wanted to know, because he had problems. I said, listen, if you give them what they need, you won't have a problem. And what they need is very simple. They are in the business of releasing films to have distribution to generate income. That is their goal. I've never seen someone fight delivering what they need unless they don't know what deliverables are and why they need them. And so it's like I used to hire people. And what I would do for interviews is I would put a pen on the end of my desk. And when a person first came in, I said, oh, excuse me, would you put that pen over here, please? And I would just ask them very quickly, would you just put this pen over there? And my desk was large, so there's enough room where they knew they weren't having to kowtow to me or bend a knee or anything. They could just simply sit where they were sitting and pick the pen up and move it to another place. I found that most people could not move the pen to the other place. And the reason is, for me, I found was some people just don't want to do what they're asked. And if you don't want to do the smallest thing I ask you to do, then you definitely don't want to do the greatest thing I ask you to do, like your job. So I would eliminate probably 60% of the people who applied for work in the first 30 seconds of our meeting. Wow. And I found that when I was working at a club called the Brave Bull, I used to be an employee of the Ice House in Pasadena Comedy Club for about 10 years. And I had left managing as one of the managers and booking agent for a music and an entertainment room called the Annex. And I went to the Brave Bull, and I had to hire 250 employees very quickly. And that test got me some of the greatest people you could imagine. I mean, people who really wanted the job, but I didn't want them to debase themselves or beg. I just asked them to do one simple thing. Could you move that pen over there, please? That's all I would ask. And it wasn't even part of the interview, but it was the entire interview for many people. And so I'm always very careful to find people who, if you ask me to do something like be on your podcast at 6, I'll be there at 6, maybe 5:59, right? And I'm sure you were doing one before me because I tried to check in 10 minutes early just to make sure you knew I would be here, right? Because it's nerve-wracking to do what you do. I don't know how, it's great that you're doing it, though. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I'm just so glad you agreed to be part of this, so thank you.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, we have to keep these connections going. It's just like you never know when you get an idea and you meet someone who can, help build that idea or has something to add to that idea. I mean, it's not a business you can do by yourself.
Depends. You know what? I've seen people who have
done complete movies, and
it's an interesting dynamic because
really?
some people can generate loyalty in moments, in just moments, and people want to follow them and be a part of what they're doing. I think Francis Ford Coppola was the one who said, they asked him how he made a movie, and he said, I do it like a parade. If you start walking down the middle of the street, by the time you get to the end of the block, you probably got a bunch of people following you. That's how I make movies. And that is so brilliant because he's automatically, just by saying I'm doing this and then committing the action toward finishing it or creating it, others join in. And I think that a lot of times that some of the people who join in are there for the right reason. And that is to support the idea or the concept of the project. Many are there for their own ego or for their own whatever. But when I find people, and most people I work with, I've been very lucky. I've been involved with so many people who cared. I was involved in a show on Spike TV for a while. And these people had raised $30 million for a show called Reality Racing, the Rookie Challenge. Well, after they hired me, I found out that they actually hired me to fail, because they burned through almost $27 million on whores and prostitutes and coke and houses and cars and paying off people who created a pump and dump stock. And I was supposed to be the sacrificial goat who was going to come in for $2.5 million and shoot this whole series. Well, I got through 10 episodes. And the problem was I reached out to some people I knew to help with financing. And those people got burned because they wanted the world to think that they'd spent $30 million and failed, but they hadn't. My ratings on Spike continued to rise every single week for the first 10 weeks. That Spike began airing the show again at that point before the finale, because these people couldn't afford the finale, but they wanted me to fail. But I found so many people like D.A. Jackson and Andrea Lynn, my wife Teresa, who just said, no, we're going to make this work. And we did. And the truth came out afterwards, and they never paid my contract, unfortunately, but it gave me so much knowledge. And I still work with some of those people today. And that show was back in 2008, 2007. So I take the good with the bad. And I believe that a lot of people will join you for the right reason. And I've had that experience many times. And of course, I've had the opposite experience. Don't let me paint a picture of some kind of Pollyannic future. But, I worked on a project recently where it just didn't work out. And we know it didn't work out at the end because they went into it in a dishonest manner. And now they're going to end up suffering for that. I will say that. They tried to make me suffer, but tables have a way of turning in my life. And I like that.
Karma, baby.
Like
karma.
Hey, karma and a little bit of juice, elbow juice, elbow grease.
Yeah. Well,
it doesn't take much.
Well, I think it's when you don't have the integrity, when you start something, when you go into something with like dishonesty or lies.
I don't know if that was it in this case. I think what happened was one of the leads became convinced that he was a better actor than Omar Sharif, and he was better look. And I said, what are you talking about? You've never done a film. You've never acted. And here you are asking all these wonderful people who've joined, these professionals in doing this project, and you're hijacking it for ego. And I thought that he was the bad guy until I saw the registration on the script by the wife saying that she had written the script. Well, in fact, she gave me a story. I wrote the script. And then she came back and said, no, it's my script. I said, honey, I'm not fighting you, but don't lie about it.
Right.
And she's held that to that lie. And I'm just not a guy who's going to settle for that. So they can play their games. I'll do what I do and life goes on. But
life goes on.
That's in this business too. That's okay too. That's my side. They have a side as well. God bless them in that. But this is my side. And I kind of have facts to back me up. And I like that.
Well, that's why I think people like to work with each other who know each other. You know, you have a strong relationship. And
build a strong team. Stick with the ones who fight to be in your life. And I got some, Annabelle Monroe is that for me on this project. She shed a lot of light because I hired her to come in as a producer, and she crossed every T, dotted every I, and knew every conversation, every promise, and what had been written and what had not. And she gave me almost a 12-page report at the end of the film, which I've never had before. Wow. She said, here's the report on the film. She knew to the moment what days had been wasted by what takes, by what person, and she named them all. And I kept seeing 2 names causing the delay, causing the problems.
Wow.
And there's an actor named Rudy Youngblood who was in Apocalypto who I brought to the project. And he and I did not get along during the filming for a number of reasons. And so he wrote some very disparaging things about me on Twitter or Facebook. And I got a call and said, did you see what Rudy Youngblood said about you? I said, go talk to Rudy Youngblood for 5 minutes. You would be grateful to have someone like that put you down. It's a compliment. And that's how I took it.
Good for you.
Well, he's not a whole person, in my opinion. He's taken a great career and screwed it. And now he wants to blame everyone else, and people like me, I don't stand for that.
But a lot of people do that. I mean, it's hard for people to take responsibility.
You know how I met him? You know how I met him? I get a phone call at my office one day in I think it was 2015. Yes, we'd like to reserve tickets for Rudy Youngblood from Apocalypto to your show tonight. And I said, okay, well, you can, well, we don't want to pay. We're going to do it as we just want you to give them the tickets. And I said, is this Rudy Youngblood? And he goes, yeah. I said, all you had to do was ask, man. Don't pretend. And I wish I'd never given him the tickets. I guarantee you that. I wish I'd never met him. Because
you're a generous guy.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wanted to be honest. Hearing that name at that time, I wanted my audience to be able to have access to him. And ultimately, it's a mistake. Now, I'm not going to go on Facebook or Twitter and use profanity to describe him or his life or what he is or call names, but I will tell the truth. And it's, it's something that that's the underbelly of this business. It's the ego. It's always ego. I've never seen anything damage relationships, projects, processes as much as ego. And it's a horrible thing, but we live through it. We get through it, and it builds your character, makes you stronger. And there's people who hate my guts. I can see it. I get it. Yeah. I'm not for everybody, and I don't want to be for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Jesus tried that. You see what they did to him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not being flippant when I say that.
Right. No, I hear you.
I'm not being flippant, but I don't have his skills, if you know what I mean. So I expect a lot less.
Yeah, but I expect people to be kind and respectful, and maybe that's asking a lot, But
I don't know. I don't know what they've suffered from. See, a lot of times people are just being themselves because that's what's been created by their circumstances. Right. And I've come to the grips with my circumstances never made me. Everyone goes through pain. Everyone suffers. Everyone has loss. All of us do. Right. That should not create you. It should make you better, in my opinion. And some people just, they go to the dark side, if you will. And I get it. That I, me, my, mine position. That's okay too. I don't know what they've suffered through, so I can't possibly judge them. But I will say, in my opinion, these are the experiences I've had with certain people, and most of them have been fantastic. Right. Most of them have been absolutely great. But there's a few that have come through, and you say, well, that just was the time you just took it on the chin and walked away. And I've been punched plenty in my life, so I'm not too worried about that. I feel good about it.
Okay, but you also know martial arts, so I don't think many people are punching you right now because it
was always. I did security at nightclubs in LA for about 25 years. Yeah. And private parties and celebrity parties and all these things, And I did a party for Miley Cyrus one night,
Yeah.
and there were 6 of us there that were her private cadre, and they asked her who she wanted on her, and she looked at me, she goes, that one right there. And they said, but he's not carrying a gun. She said, I'm not worried about that. So the job was to stay 10 feet away from her, but at least you can get to her in one, you have to be able to get to people in one step. And that's something that I had great training for a lot of time with my Kempo father, Frank Trejo Jr. of the American Kempo karate system. And he was I trained before him, but I'd never trained until him.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was the source of everything I ever learned and everything I know now. And from him, I went on to guys like Larry Landless from the UFC and James Abrao from Junbao Wushu. And I actually traveled with Grandmaster Abrao for a number of years, selling a system called the 5 Forms to Black all over the country. And it was a great learning experience. And so, yeah, it builds confidence, but a lot of people with confidence don't have skills. A lot of people with skills don't have confidence. It works both ways. When you marry the two together and you know that you're right in the thing, you usually come out on top.
Yeah. Are you still training? Do you still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I train every day. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, how about your kids? Do you have them in?
No, because you can't, I work with them over the years, and like every year I spend a couple of weeks and I'll say, let's work on stances, let's work on punches, blocks, kicks, let's work on techniques, let's work on grappling. And I gauge their interest. And when I see there really is no interest, I just stop.
Okay.
And that means I don't want to put on them remnants of my life. My life was full of violence, a lot of violence in my history. And so I had to learn to be violent, but they don't necessarily have that experience. So yes, they can take care of themselves. They know how to pick up a phone and call or grab a knife or something, right? God forbid. But they don't have to be stained by what stained me. So when I see they're not interested in something, even in writing or making movies or whatever it is that I might be doing, I make sure that when I sense that they're no longer interested, I stop, because it's the worst thing in the world a parent can do is to force a child into something. Because all it leads to is resentment and hate. And I have no intention of ruining their lives for the sake of my ego. It's really important not to do that.
That's really good of you. I wish more people would do that.
How many people hate their parents? My father made me do it. No, I never had a father, so it didn't bother me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never had a dad. So to understand what a father would be like, I was able to create something that was not stained by the memory or the effort of someone else. And that to me is a great thing. It's freeing, because now my children will not suffer what he went through by way of my experiences with him. And I really think that's a blessing.
You're so inspirational. You know that? You're very inspirational.
I don't know about that, but I'm content. And I don't think a lot of people can say that. I'm very content with my situation. And yes, things go wrong all the time. But are you going to be defined by what goes wrong, or will you be defined by what you're reaching for and the goal you want to obtain?
Yeah, you focus on that. Yeah.
You know, this COVID-19 thing is also a great reset, in my opinion, because you can now see people for what they are. And my wife said, oh my God. I said, what? She goes, I can't get my nails done. I said, honey, there's a lot more you can't get done either, right? And you see all these people who are so, they have to have their tans and their nails and their hair and this outfit. And now they can't get those things. Those services have dried up. Right. And you're seeing people for who they are. And, I know you did a film recently where you wore no makeup. You're beautiful anyway, but no makeup. And that is your natural state. And it's fantastic. Some people can't do that. They have to have that extra 10 layers of stuff, especially filters on Snapchat and TikTok.
Right.
You have to show somebody something sometime.
Right.
You get used to it. Yeah, you gotta get used to it.
Yeah, but now when you go outside, though, everyone has to wear a mask. So, I mean, that's another way of hiding. So if you can't go to the salon, you just throw a mask on. You can't get your hair done, cover up your hair.
I went shopping the other day, and I saw probably 10% of the people with masks and covering.
Yeah.
And, God bless them. If that's what you need, God bless you. Go get it. Take care of yourself. Always take care of you. Never lose that. But, I still have people with faith running around, and these people don't have a care in the world. They really don't. They're just living their lives, doing their thing under the constraints we're under. And that's beautiful too. I hope that people won't judge them for that.
Right. Right. Well, okay. But same time, I'm hearing stories of, people like young people spitting on food on public, spitting on old people, trying to scare people. I'm like, so I don't know. I'm like, just put on a freaking mask.
Yeah, but what do you expect from a godless, faithless generation?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, you're going to get aberrant behavior.
yeah.
And, if you look at some of the communities out there, you've got 70% of the families being born with no father in the home. Think about that. Where is the structure for those young boys and girls? And that's why I saw a woman, she was holding a sign that said, "I've had 8 abortions. I'm looking for 8 more.
What?
It's my body," right? Okay, it's your body. God bless you. Wonderful thing. If you need it, go get it. But no one needs to have 10 abortions. I mean,
It's irresponsible. It's not taking responsibility for yourself.
it's a lack of faith and understanding the value of every human. That's the problem. Don't get me wrong. There's some crappy human beings out there. I'm not going to lie. Even I can't pull that off. But it's not necessary.
Well, I'm hoping that this reset we all are in is giving a chance for people to get to know themselves too.
Yeah, and it's resetting values as well.
Yeah,
it really is. We're beginning to see the real value of the thing. It's suddenly, no one needs to see a basketball game or a football game or a baseball game. What they need to see is a doctor, right? What they need to see is a nurse. What they need to see is a grocery clerk at a store who can check you out quickly. Those things have risen. Their stock has risen so high now that these are the people who are heroes. It's no longer some guy who caught a ball that was nearly going over the fence. I mean, who cares?
Right.
I read a story where it said celebrities are going out without makeup during COVID-19. I'm like, you morons, they don't have their makeup artists any longer. Don't you understand? They're not sacrificing anything. They don't have, the stylists can't get to them. They can't go shopping that day, right? And so we're beginning to see where a certain shallowness and false God, false idol mentality. Oh, look what she's wearing. Oh, look what her make. Who cares? This is a life and death situation. Who cares that we don't get to see LeBron James? I remember his statement when he said, "With no fans in the stage, I ain't playing basketball." And then David Stern came out and said, "There's no basketball to play, brother. It's over." He's like, "What?" Make your threats, man. They mean nothing. No one cares. No one cares.
Well, I was reading in the New York Post that family law firms are receiving more calls than ever because now you have couples, husbands and wives, staying home together, and they don't like each other.
See, I thought that would be opposite. I thought you'd see a lot more babies born, but the thing is, why would you be with someone you don't want to be with to begin with? Even that is a blessing. Separate those people. Let them find someone that makes them happy, because then their children will be happy.
Exactly. Right? I agree with that.
Don't keep them. If they don't want to be together, don't be together. But don't make people miserable. I'm so sorry to hear that. I really thought that you would hear about this huge baby boom.
That's what I was thinking too.
Now and 12 months from now.
Well, there's still going to be a baby boom. I think because
I hope so, because we're having births in America have begun to drop significantly and worldwide as well. Yeah. I'm glad to see that there's some kind of refreshing of this thing. And I don't want to say people should have kids to stay together. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. But what a wonderful thing that you can finally you have this time to be with your partner, your mate, your lover, your friend. That's the most amazing thing. I'm sorry that there are people out there who chose wrong.
Well, I mean, can you imagine like allowing yourself to fall in love all over again and having that time and get that whole romance going again because you have the time and really get to know your kids? And it's just, I mean, the possibility of going deep, it's just like,
I told you in a previous conversation that we have daily CEO meetings, and we light a fireplace, we go sit in a specific part of the house, and then we pray and we talk about what everyone needs to move to the next day. And sometimes, like my son said, "Hey, Dad, I need heavy whipping cream." I said, "For what are you?" I'm making pudding for everyone tonight, and I have to have it. I just have to have it. I said, "Wait a minute. You don't need a video game controller or new batteries?" "No, I need that heavy whipping cream."
There you go.
My wife and I have been very lucky as well. We've had very little infidelity over the last 27 years, and very little outside influence on our particular situation through in-law or family or whatever.
Mm.
And what's been good is that we have always grown closer through every circumstance and situation.
Great.
And I'm so grateful to her because she's allowed me to grow and to move forward in my life. And I've tried to do the same for her. And you have to recognize that even though you love a person, they do not belong to you. They just don't. Right. And if you have a good match, they're going to help you succeed and you're going to help them succeed, but you still give them a wide berth. And I think that's one of the greatest things this can teach us.
I agree with that. Yeah. It's not your better half. It's your other.
She's my everything.
Yeah.
I will say that she's my everything.
You're very lucky to have that.
Yes, I am. That's a fact. No question.
That's a huge blessing. And especially in the business you're in too, the industry of, unpredictable schedules, all times of the day. And,
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's more that we both came from damaged backgrounds and we both recognized that did not have to be our futures.
Right. And you did something about it. Yeah.
And we did something about it. And it's tough. I'm not going to lie. It takes effort. It takes work, but it's worth it.
That's awesome. And what a great, you're showing your kids what relationships should be like,
I hope, because everything I turn on, man, it's got some aberrant, deviant behavior. I was watching this movie on Netflix with my kids called A Letter to the King. And these young people think they're about to die. So one boy is talking to the other boy and says, well, what did you never do that you wanted to do in your life? We could die tomorrow. And the other little boy reaches over and kisses him on the lips. And I went, you just met this guy. You've always wanted to do that? My kids are like, oh. Disney and Netflix, they don't have to portray that as a natural relationship between two young boys that are minors. Listen, if you're an adult, grab a chandelier, shove it halfway up your end. That's your business. God bless you. I mean, have fun. If you are an adult, do whatever you want with whomever you want for as long as you want. I don't care. But leave the kids alone, please. Just let them be children. By the same token, I was working since I was 13 years old. And even before that, I had newspaper routes, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't have one route. I had two routes. That was my life. But to me now, I wish I'd never done it that early because I tired myself out for the future. I mean, I've worked some heavy, hard jobs, never more so than, believe it or not, working in an industrial bakery. Oh my God. When I went to get the job, it was a Hispanic man who managed. He says, kid, you're not cut out for this. It's too hard for you. And I said, no, sir. I went back for 7 weeks begging for that job. I got the job. I lasted 4 days. And to that, people think that undocumented workers or what they call illegal aliens don't matter in this country. You better check yourself. Those people work like there's no tomorrow. I mean, oh my God. Unless you've worked in a field picking something like I have, you have no concept of how tough the work is. And these people beg for it. So, you might want to give them a break at some point. You might really want to pay attention. There are issues out there that you don't want to be involved with. And so stop saying that you do because you don't. And people don't get that. I mean, hard working people, my God. Oh. And by the way, I'm not disparaging homosexuals or people who love the American spirits that we shouldn't have. Hey, I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm saying I'd like to leave the kids alone for a while. Give them a break.
Well, but that goes back to story, because the person who, produced or who made that film, I mean, it was that.
They had an agenda. Yeah, they had an agenda and they wanted to put their agenda forward. I just think that some of these social media companies need to really be responsible for what they're putting out there, not to adults. Trust me, if you're an adult, and there's 800 of you in an orgy, God bless you. Have some fun. I don't care. If you live with 15 men and 9 goats, good for you. Enjoy yourself. I don't care. I'm just asking that you please leave the kids alone. Don't make them pawns in our agendas. And that goes for people like me as well. I try to never use kids in my film. And even in the one we were just finishing, there was a young girl they brought in who played the lead actress, and she had been raped. And I said, do me a favor, please don't show that child, someone being abused while you're shooting it. Shoot her separately. They chose to shoot it the way they wanted to shoot it. And I said, man, that's one of the things I just didn't go for. I thought it was really a tacky, stupid, gotcha moment, and it was really pathetic. And the director should be ashamed of herself for that. I mean, she really should be ashamed.
You know what? You should have your own channel, the AOF channel. You know, it's
I
like
have that. It's on YouTube, but it's
yeah.
not. It's only the speeches and award shows and seminars from the festivals. I've already had a TV show for a while.
Yeah, but like all your movies, the movies that you want to see, you know, the movies you believe in, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, you don't have to do anything.
It's funny that you say that, because if you go to YouTube and type in the AOF channel, I actually did a show on NBC called the AOF channel.
Oh, did you?
And
that's great.
We raised money from a partner of mine, and he was so happy to do it. He guy's like, yeah, whatever you need, I want to be a part of this. And he threw the money up, and we had the show running on NBC directly after Saturday Night Live every Saturday night. So we've done that. And that was a test for a greater idea, which is a network that I'm trying to build. My goals now are to build a full-on network. And we have the content, but what most people don't understand is the money for the branding and the eyeballs is where you really get into trouble. Your burn rate on that is so high. And it's funny, I see that, I think it was not David Geffen, but the other one, Katzenberg, who just launched Quibi, and he showed a fourth quarter offering that raised, I think it was $4 to $5 billion. I don't need $4 billion. And I think that ultimately that's going to be a mistake, because you can't front load it that heavily with paying directors $250,000 or $100,000 for a 6-minute episode. It doesn't make any sense. But
it doesn't.
Hey, he's a lot smarter than me, right? He's a lot smarter than me.
Well, you know, good luck to him. You know, in
fact, everybody's smarter than me.
Well, it's not a matter of being smart. It's a matter of what you do. You know, it's like, but you know,
I wouldn't do that. Even if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't spend it that way. But that's just me. I think there's another way to go. And we have such great creators from all over the world. Your content is sitting at the table. And so we're in process of that. And we had an offer, I think it was a week and a half ago. But the offer was so low that I couldn't entertain it, because I knew that we'd be in trouble in 12 months. And I told the investor, I said, listen, that's a nice offer, and it's really appreciated. But I know that if you can't double that offer, because it was very low, that there's nothing we can do. He says, well, you know, here are the reasons why you're going to fail. I said, I didn't ask you that. And what do you really know about this business? Well, I never been in the business. And how do you know where I'm going to fail, why I'm going to fail? You know, he'd come from a drug business. And the cannabis business has made a lot of people wealthy very quickly. Right. But the market is saturated for that business. You're going to find huge conglomerations of companies coming together to really make it a super company. Like, you know, you have, I think it's, what's the quote? You have 8 businesses that operate something like 60% of the businesses in the world, and most of the media. You know, when you start looking at Coca-Cola and Disney, you should see the myriad of businesses that they actually run. And when you look at some of the makeup companies, they don't have one makeup company. They have 30 makeup companies and 30 brands. So the market is really, really saturated in that drug business. And I think soon the government will get into cannabis, and then you're really going to start seeing regulation, in which case there'll be a lot less instant millionaires made.
Right. And we'll see how long they stay millionaires.
That's the thing, you know, because it's a business it's a heavy cash business. There's no credit cards. There's no Square. There's no, no Bitcoin. You pay with cash. And in that business, you've got a lot of people out there operating who don't have the training for business. And that's just life, you know, that's just life.
Well, I figure you just go with it, right? You know,
easy come, easy go.
Yeah, and you just keep doing what you love, you know, because if you don't love it, don't do it. And that's so hard, because so many people get caught in the traps like, well, I have to have this and I have to have that. You know,
we're finding out that you don't, aren't we?
Right.
We're finding out that you don't. When you go to the store, I went to shop and there was no eggs. I said, that's rare, because I haven't been to a store yet that didn't have eggs, let alone toilet paper. But I thought to myself, that's interesting. Now, we didn't actually need them. It would have been nice to have them that week, but that's okay too. You know, sometimes it's like fasting, you know, intermittent fasting. It's actually good for your system. Workouts are actually good for your system. You know, a little struggle is good for your system. There's nothing wrong with that. It defines you. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah. It's just, so how long do you predict this will last? This whole virus?
I'm an old man. You know, I've been through SARS and MERS and Legionnaire's disease and Ebola and AIDS. I've been through all that. And one thing that always, so far, that's been true is that it passes. You know, I remember walking into restaurants, and if someone looked like they had an issue and they happened to be homosexual, people are, oh, I can't eat from him. And I had a friend that I worked with at the Ice House, and it was right at the heyday of AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
And his name was Lance, really cool guy. And he and his boyfriend Rick worked at the Ice House. And so one day, Lance had been diagnosed as HIV positive, and he was holding his hand a bunch of candies, and his hands were sweating. I said, "What are you eating?" He goes, "Oh, just some treats." And he held his hand up to me to eat them. Well, he didn't know about me, and I have no fear, so I pretty much emptied his hand and ate them all right in front of him. And he was like, he was stuck between, I can't believe Dell is eating food out of my hand because I'm sick, first of all, and why did he take so much of it? Because you offered it to me. So to answer your question, younger people, I think, are more frightened. Older people are dying, but I think a lot of people are dying with other conditions, not just from COVID, underlying conditions. So, they're saying that there was supposed to be 2 million people died in the next few weeks, and actually the numbers are flattening here. And I think Italy is revising their death numbers to say that, well, you know what, they really didn't die from COVID. They died with COVID, not because of COVID. And once those numbers get clear, I think we're going to find out in the next month or so, you're going to see a clearing up of this thing. I've already seen news of different vaccines that are coming out. The erythromycin and I think it's, I forgot the name of the other one, hydrochloroquine, I believe. I'm saying it wrong, but those two things, along with people with malaria, tend not to get COVID. That kind of tells you something. So there's a cure out there. But again, I don't think this is the big one that we've been waiting for.
I lost you. Where did you go?
I'm trying to see. How do I do that? I think, did I do it?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
back. Okay, yeah. Awesome.
I don't think that's the big one. I think that there's something much worse coming, but we're learning through this one.
Right.
And it's just I think this is really just a reset. We've planned our festival for the end of July, early August, but if the quarantine goes past April 30th, then we will move our show back a month. And we're also going to have an online show. And in addition to that, if anything happens where the live show can't take place for any reason, we will credit all the filmmakers and writers who submitted so that they can be seen in our next live show, as well as the people who submit for that one. So we're backing them up and making sure they're taken care of.
Oh, good. Good. Which hotel are you going to be staying at, or which hotel will the festival
We're
be
done.
at?
We're no longer in the hotel business.
Oh,
it's
you're not?
over. We're going to suggest the area hotels, but the problem came up about 2.5 months ago, which is funny because it came up right when coronavirus began taking place, and that was that all the hotels and the state literally raised their resort fees. Now they were already, I think, at $28 a night in some places, $30 a night, and now they've added that increase along with parking fees at hotels that never charge parking. And I want people to really get creative and not stay at the major hotels because they're literally being raped. And Vegas is a very rich city. And you see just how rich it is when you see these 15, 20,000 rooms here completely empty. And you've got homeless people told to sleep in parking lots on the cement in these little 6-foot squares made with tape. It's disgusting. It is completely disgusting how people are profiting from this thing. And everyone says, oh, we're with you, we're family, we're this. Well, open those hotel rooms and let those people in. They're dying, they're suffering. What are you doing? It doesn't make sense to me. So we have a gorgeous theater that we're working with this year. We've changed everything up, but we're no longer in the hotel business. We will suggest hotels that have reasonable rates and are very close to the venue. But the idea of me going in and supporting any one large casino hotel is over with.
Okay. All right. No, that's good to know. And good. Good for having those values. That's good.
We'll see what happens.
And hopefully
it'll come back. It'll come back. But you know what happened 3 days ago? The Tropicana Hotel Casino was sold for $312 million. Okay? That included all the property, everything. And the people who took it over are hoping to do a grand sale at the end of this virus pandemic, and they get a large percentage of everything that's above $312 million. That property was purchased for more than it's about to sell for. So they lost a lot of dough. And you can imagine every day they lose money. That is an artificially inflated business. And the sad thing about that is that they've been taking people's palms. We just ended an action with them where they wanted to charge me hundreds of thousands of dollars over what was actually owed. The bill was actually 30 grand and we paid it. But it took 2 years to get to that decision and to negotiate that to where it was, because it's a bully system. And I'm sorry for that. I'm really sorry for that, because, you know, it's not necessary. It's a great city. It's a wonderful place. And you can do things here you can do nowhere else. There's a freedom here.
Right.
But you also have to be fair. You have to be fair with people. And, you know, this is an awakening. Like I said, it's a reset. A lot of businesses aren't going to make it, and there's reasons for it.
Yeah. But the ones who do make it, those are going to be the ones to watch out for, right? Right?
The ones who make it, you're here for a reason. I want to support you. Here's my money.
I love it. I love it. So I'm looking forward to seeing some really great things from you, Dale.
I'm looking forward to seeing some great stuff from you in this wonderful podcast. Thank you for doing it. You know, just to have the ability to come on and commune with people and to talk and to honestly express your interest and your ideas and concepts. I appreciate that. I am not looking for a battle with anyone that I talked about on this show. God bless the people in that film. I hope they make it. God bless Rudy Youngblood. I'm rooting for you, brother. I'm praying for you. I don't want to hang around you, but God bless you. Right. You know, and to the people making these films where they're involving children, you know, I've just never been a big fan of that. I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, kids need to be kids. You don't have to destroy them at 12, 13. You don't need to do that. It's just stupid. I
agree. Well, yeah, but what a great role model, though. It just shows that even if you don't agree with someone, you know, and you have a beef with them, just you know, let it go. You know, it's like, man, go do your thing. You know, it's like,
do your thing.
You know, you be you. You know, God bless you. Go. Yeah. You know, it's like discernment. Have your boundaries. You know, just like
please. You know, with that. We have unfettered freedom here in America. People say that it's being whittled away every day. I don't believe that. You know, there's a lot of things that are not right, and a lot of things we need to stand up for. But this is I've been around the world. I know what a lack of freedom looks like. And women here have been treated horribly. There's no question about that. There's just no question. I've seen things that just make you sick. There's going to be a time when we're going to have to be reckoned with. And I think this is one of those times. And I think everyone can come out of this smelling like a rose if they just take a step back and really love. Right. Just love. You don't need to fight with everybody. Just love. Right. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be honest or critical. It just means that you need to be able to at least have a discussion and talk. That's one of the most important things we can do is communicate. And we're learning to, because we have no other choice. That's exactly, you're being forced to, huh? You don't want to do it? We'll force you to do it. That's an amazing thing. Well, I have to tell you, this morning I had to go to my car, get something out of my car, and I'm in my pajamas. My daughter's with me in her pajamas. I read the story, by the way. Oh my God, I felt so bad for her. Please, okay. Yeah, and so, this is a great story. Yeah, and the thing is, she's pregnant. She's like 6 months pregnant, and she's walking her dog. And I go say hi to her, and she has like this black eye, and she has like this bruise on her jaw, and she quickly turns around and I'm thinking, wow, for women to feel like they have to be in a situation like that, it's like, and I think that's where we have to find that kindness and compassion, it's like, and I was like, kind of like, fuck, what do I say? What do I do? Nothing. I can't. She has to say it. She has to be the one to say it. So, but I was thinking, if each one of us could just feel that kindness and compassion within us, get that energy around us, where, you feel that love, you be that love, it's like, and you distance yourself from stuff that doesn't work, it's like, instead of engaging or in a fight or, it's like, okay, man, you go be you, God bless you. And you create that energy force that's vibing high, I think that really affects other people. I think that helps, inspire them to say, I don't have to take this, I can reach out for help, if people start making eye contact with each other, saying hello, like a smile even, and say, I acknowledge you just by looking at you, that could change someone's life. Yeah, when I was younger, I came out of my house and I see this car slowly making a left or right turn onto my street. And as the car slowed down, it stopped. And I see the driver right in front of me physically kick the woman out of the car, kicking her. And she hits the ground. And he looks at me. And so I ran down the steps and into the street to help her get up. And I said, ma'am, are you okay? And she said, get your effing hands off of me. I love him. And I'm like, I didn't ask all that. I just asked if you were okay.
Yeah.
You can't let yourself be treated that way.
Right. Yeah.
Can't. Because if they'll do it in public to you and put bruises on you, there's no telling what they'll do.
Yeah. And I think that's where your connection to God comes in, you know, because you have that strong connection with God and you start feeling that self-worth and that self-love. And, you know, just from that source, it changes everything.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of people don't know the good news. They don't understand that, you know, that Christ came to save us. And we're celebrating his holiday next year at Easter. And it's the first time in the history of humanity churches will not be enforced as a place to go to celebrate his freedom from death and his salvation for us. And I think that's a really horrible thing. You know, people are trying to find a way, and I know that I am. I'm looking for a drive-in theater where they'll have a mass or something or a church service. Yeah. I just want to be somewhere where he's being recognized because he's given me so much. You know, life is tough. I'm not gonna lie. I've not had an easy life or, you know, or a simplistic life. It's been rough, and I'm okay with that. But to know that he came and died for us, for our salvation, that's huge. Yeah. And people might call me a hypocrite because I use foul language and I've been violent in my existence, but I can stand that. You know, I'm in the world. I'm not in heaven yet. I'm in the world. So act accordingly.
Right. But isn't it interesting this whole COVID-19 is happening during Lent? Yeah,
I found that to be like you're forced to go without. You know, usually Lent is, you know, you give something up. I'm not a big Catholic. I'm not a friend of the Catholic Church. I'm a Christian. A little bit different. I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I saw all their warts and all their sores. And it was funny, you know, when I was in grade school, we had a nun. I won't say her name, but she was having an affair with a music teacher. And even at a young age, I knew they were banging, right? And in high school, I had a teacher, gorgeous woman, who it was found out later, and this is a Catholic school, found out later that she was literally giving sexual favors to the varsity football team on nights that they won the games, right? She'd go to parties and she'd sleep with them. So there was a male dean there who was, I got a real bad feeling for, because I think you have your instinct. Above all, you have your instinct. And this guy calls me into his office on Monday morning, you know, and he says, Mr. Weston. I said, yeah. He goes, what would you say if I told you I saw 4 young men matching your description and 3 others who belong to this school at the porn theater in El Monte, California, Friday night? And I said, I'd say you spend too much time watching young boys. What would you say about that, right? Well, it was found out 5 years later that he was molesting young boys from that school. Ooh. So you got to be so careful when you're out there. Like I said, we're of the world. You know, there's no question. We're of the world. We're not in heaven. And we're certainly not in hell. You know, some people I'm sure are suffering greatly, but not hell suffering. But you got to be careful. You know, you're not perfect, and that's why Christ came, and that's why he forgave our sins. And I saw a reporter on MSNBC say, "How dare Mike Lindell tell you to read your Bibles and pray during this horrible time?" And I said, "Well, when else would you do it? You know, when things are good?" And he hated. This guy hated. You could hear he just hated the word so much. And I said, "Oh, I know this story already." You know, he's aberrant. He's a guy who can't be loved because he refuses to love. You know, he's in love with himself. That's a sorry savior, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
We did this talk before, and it was so happy and so full of joy and so light. Now we're getting all serious, and I'm gonna get some hate mail, and I'm like, okay.
No, you're not gonna get hate mail. You know, it's like
it's okay. I can live with that.
Okay, no one give you. Okay.
I had a guy one time at the festival during an award show scream out, "You suck!" And I didn't miss a beat. I said, "No, your wife does." And she was in my room last night. And the audience at first didn't know what to say. They're like, "Huh?" And my thing was, of course, nothing ever happened. I was just joking. Right. But it's like, this person was crushed. And I said, that's what happened when you get on the line. And I only knew that because I'd gotten out of line before and someone corrected me that way viciously. And, you know, life is strange, but we all have to keep trying. I was immature then. I was stupid. I would never do that again. But, you know, words can be very painful.
Yeah.
And they're weapons like we can't imagine. And I think that now people are starting to see that a little more compassion, a little more love, a little more peace is necessary to get through. Because I heard the president say there'll be a lot of suicides around this time.
Yeah.
And that broke my heart, because this is a time of introspection. This is a time for learning. This is a time for depriving yourself of something you don't need in order to leave a hole for something you do. So when you say it's strange this is happening around Lent, I happen to agree with you. This is Holy Week coming up, and it's also the week they've said will be the most deaths. Only that's not happening.
Right.
That's just not happening as they said. So I'm gratified by that there is some mercy out there.
Oh, there is. And people are good. There are so many good people out there. It's just that they don't get talked about because, everyone's so busy talking about the not good people.
Or they're listening to my second ex-wife.
Yeah, but let's focus on your fabulous current wife. She's more fun to talk about. No, Del, you are awesome, and I appreciate you very much. And
awesome.
We've been chatting over an hour now. It's like, oh my God,
stop it! You're already bored. You can't do this. You're gonna have to cut this show. You're gonna cut it down to about 10 minutes of good stuff. The rest has to go.
No. And this is, it's not an interview. It's a dialogue. It's like
it's a good conversation. I love this. I really do. This is fantastic.
We need people to start engaging, and you're an excellent role model.
Thank you for allowing to speak the way I speak and for hearing me. And I hope that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. This is very important. No one has to agree with me. This is just some of the things that I've done, and I'm happy with them. And I'm learning still to be better. Right, and I appreciate the opportunity, because the older you get, I think the better you can see mistakes you've made and how to correct them. Exactly. And it's good. Be straightforward, be truthful and honest, and move on with your life. There's really no, what did Robert, the great singer who died of a heart attack, he was always doing Marvin Gaye remakes. And he did a song, and one of the lyrics was, there is no profit in deceit. Honest men know that revenge does not taste sweet. I love that part of that song. That's such a great lyric, man. This is just a fantastic lyric.
I love it. All right. Hey, give me your website one more time.
Check us out at actiononfilmfest.com, actiononfilmfest.com, or noriskfeefest.com, No Risk Fee Fest. From there, you can see all the AOF MegaFest festivals. You can also submit your work without paying a nickel. I mean, you can choose to use a submission platform like Film Freeway if you want, because we haven't been deplatformed. I'm sure we will at some point, but not yet. So you can use them if you want. And then don't forget, if you don't want to pay up front, just use No Risk Fee Fest, and your work will be qualified before you were even asked or allowed to pay a submission fee.
I love that. That's great. This can give a lot of people an opportunity to submit who may not.
We hope so. Otherwise, so. We hope so.
So that's awesome.
So. Well, God bless you all. And thank you, Sophia Louisa, for this wonderful platform.
Thank you so much, Dad. I will be talking with you again very soon. And I will see you in July.
Yeah, this summer. I can't wait to see you.
It's going to be great. All right. You take care and have a great Easter. All right.
All the best, and thank you.
All right. Mwah.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.